It's NFL Daily Playoff Focus Edition. The Bills kept their playoff hopes alive out in the frozen tundra with a win over the Colts. The Packers continue to hold out hope for Aaron Rodgers' return, and that's still alive with a narrow comeback win over the winless Cleveland Browns. The Steelers beat the Ravens, giving them the best record in the AFC. The Chiefs beat the Raiders in a critical AFC West matchup. Both teams still in the playoff mix, but the Raiders' chances took a big blow with their embarrassing effort against Kansas City. The Cowboys' hopes stayed alive with a key win over the Giants, but Dallas faces a very difficult path in the loaded NFC. The Eagles beat the Rams in a battle of two likely playoff teams, but might have lost the war as Carson Wentz's season is over. The Rams still in good playoff position. It wasn't pretty, but thanks to 5 Buccaneers turnovers, the Lions have kept their playoff hopes alive. The Jaguars took the lead in the AFC South with a win over the Seahawks. Seattle still controls their destiny, but their playoff lives are on the line going forward. The Titans laid an egg against the Cardinals in a bad loss. The AFC is not very good, so the Titans can still make the playoffs. But are the Titans actually a good football team, or do they have a deceptive 8-win record? The Panthers helped their playoff chances in a huge way by beating a really good Vikings team in what might be a playoff matchup preview. The Chargers routed the Redskins as Los Angeles continues its push for the AFC West after a very bad start to the season. And on Monday Night Football, the Dolphins pulled the upset of the week, taking down the Patriots. Highlights from that game and a look at the playoff picture coming up right now on NFL Daily.
Ticket prices can actually go down right before the game? That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. So we can get tickets at the last minute for up to 60% off. Download Game Time now.
We start with Monday Night Football highlights. Dolphins already up 3-0. Tom Brady on third down, picked off by Xavier Howard. Had a hell of a game, by the way. That leads to a field goal. Dolphins up 6-0. In the second quarter, the Pats take the lead. Rex Burkhead on the short touchdown run. 7-6, New England now on top. But Smokin' Jay Cutler would respond. Somehow escapes a sure sack. Finds Kenyon Drake for the first down for Miami. That would lead to this, a Jarvis Landry touchdown catch. Just like that, the Dolphins are back up on top. In the third now, 13-10, Brady will chuck one deep again. But again, it's Xavier Howard, his second interception of the night. He actually runs this all the way back to the Patriots' 46-yard line. Gives Miami fantastic field position. Later on this drive, Jay Cutler to Jakeem Grant. Check out this acrobatic and difficult catch he makes. We'll give you another angle here. He did get inbounds. 20-10, the Dolphins now lead. And Miami doesn't stop. Cutler to Landry again. Fins up 27-10 over the Patriots. Upset alert in Miami. But can Brady pull off the fourth quarter comeback? He finds James White here, 27-17. Under 2 to go. Brady finds Danny Amendola, but he comes up a yard short of the end zone. Somehow, the Dolphins hold. The Patriots settle for a field goal. Now it's up to Gostowski, and his onside kick does not work. The Dolphins, Mitchell, in a surprise, beat the Patriots 27-20.
I couldn't even believe this. We had our happy hour last night, Tom, and I couldn't tell if I had a few too many or if I could actually see the score right. But shout out to my dad, man. He predicted this game. He took the Dolphins to win, but I'll tell you what. The Dolphins have the Patriots number. They always just find a way to give this team trouble, and man, I literally can't believe what I saw. A lot of credit to the Dolphins. They gave Brady a lot of trouble, and again, when you put pressure in Brady's face, it's kind of how you get them.
Jay Cutler outplayed Tom Brady, as we all foresaw coming entering this game.
As we all saw coming. Unbelievable.
Big game from Kenyon Drake. The Patriots had nothing going on the ground. I think that was a big factor in their loss as well.
Yeah, they only ran the ball, 10 times?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's just not – I mean, you need to be able to, mix it up a little bit more than that, even if you are Tom Brady and the Patriots.
All right, so now the question is, entering this game, the general consensus was that the Patriots were the number one team in the NFL and in the power rankings. Now they lose to the Dolphins. Is that still the case for you, Mitchell?
Are they the number one team in the NFL right now? I don't know if you can say yes. However, in the playoffs, I'm taking number 12, and I'm taking the Patriots in the playoffs. But are they the best team in the NFL? It's a good question, Tom.
I will tease what we're going to have on Thursday in NFL Power Rankings. I did not put New England at number 1. I frequently base it up based on like a resume type thing, and right now, Patriots don't have that as far as I'm concerned.
You're right. No, they definitely don't have the best resume. I mean, considering I think there's, well, the two teams are from Pennsylvania have the most wins, but I think one of those teams is the best team in the NFL. Let's say that.
That's fair. Keep it nice and vague there. All right. So that's your expo, folks. Keep those votes flowing throughout the show. We'll talk now some more about New England. They made a roster move today, Mitchell. They've gone out and they've signed Kenny Britt. Last with the Cleveland Browns was cut. Now he's joining the Patriots.
Joining the Patriots, Tom, that's like going from just some random person that you find, I guess, on the street to like dating literally like Giselle, like a supermodel. Like think about he had no wins, and now he's on a Patriots team that's easily going to make the playoffs, probably the front runner to win the Super Bowl. Good for you, Kenny Britt. I mean, ever since he signed that deal, he kind of hasn't showed up, so maybe he'll be a little bit more motivated.
We've kind of seen this in the past with Kenny Britt, is after he gets paid, he's just like, all right, cool, thanks, guys. And like he didn't put in enough effort in Cleveland, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I could not agree with you more.
Another Martellus Bennett move.
Yeah, well, I mean, it gives them depth. I mean, at a position where I think that they kind of got exposed a little bit this past week. Chris Hogan's been banged up, no Gronk. And yeah, the Patriots, I think it's a decent move to get a veteran.
What impact do you think Britt will have on this roster with Brandon Cook still there and Gronk coming back and others?
I think it's a depth. I think it's more just a depth move because now
the Michael Floyd from last year move.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a pretty good comparison.
All right, cool. All right, so again, if you're joining us, Patriots signed Kenny Britt today. I don't know the exact details on that contract, but it is a 2-year deal, probably heavily incentive based, at least if
it should be.
Yeah, if Patriots are being smart. All right, we were hoping to have a more tangible update for you today on one Aaron Rodgers and his health going forward. The report was yesterday the Packers would make their decision today. That has not happened yet. The Packers have not decided whether or not Aaron Rodgers will return to the team. He has not been cleared yet. We'll see when and if that changes, but I think what's happening here is Aaron Rodgers really, really wants to play because he's a competitor. This is what he's always been. The Packers and the medical staff are like, you're not healed yet. Like, you run the risk of hurting that shoulder even further.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I mean, we need to look at it from a long-term standpoint as well. Like, yes, the Packers are still technically in the playoff picture at 7-6, and if they win out, sure, they have a chance. But I mean, they play at Carolina this week, Minnesota the following week. Like, it's not a super easy road, and then yeah, they play the Lions. So, but if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, this Packers team, I'll tell you what, I definitely wouldn't want to play him.
There's the video of that hit there, a broken collarbone. Now, the collarbone, this type of injury, does not heal in the 2 months' time, and frankly, it won't heal by the time the season's over. It is not I'm good now, I went on IR, I'm okay. This is a longer rehab process. So with Aaron Rodgers hurt, he is not going to be healthy. And my fear, Mitchell, is that if he comes back at his age and he suffers another collarbone injury, I think we're going to be veering into Tony Romo territory where he's just always hurt.
No, that's a good. I mean, especially considering how many collarbone injuries Rodgers has had. So, should he return?
If you are the Packers and you're the guy in charge, like okay, like Rodgers gets to meet, gets together the GM, the coach, the doctors, and it's up to all right, Mitchell. Here's all the opinions. Should Aaron Rodgers be allowed to return?
If he's not 100% healthy, I am not risking my entire franchise because if, like you said, if he gets injured and it's more of a long-term issue, Aaron Rodgers is just too valuable.
All right, so that's kind of the updates there on Aaron Rodgers. We'll keep it rolling here. We'll talk now about Carson Wentz. He was officially placed on IR. He had a Twitter video that he posted. Here it is.
What's up, everybody? Obviously, it's been a rough day for me personally. I'm not gonna lie. I have a ton of faith in the Lord and in His plan, but at the end of the day, it's still been a tough one. And it will be tough on me for a little bit. But as I just kind of reflect tonight, I know the Lord's working through it. I know Jesus has a plan through it. I know He's trying to grow me in something, teach me something, use me somehow, some way. This will just be a great testimony as I go forward. Maybe not all of you out there are Christians or followers of Jesus, but I can say with 100% confidence as a follower of Jesus, I have the utmost confidence in His plan. His plan is perfect. If we got everything we wanted in life, it would be a disaster. I know Jesus is up there looking down and He knows what He's doing. So I'm just going to surrender that to Him and trust Him in that. But I can promise to everybody, all my fans out there, in the Philly area and North Dakota area, all across this country, that this will not stop me going forward. I will come back stronger than ever. I will use this as motivation, and I will be attacking it this whole process as I recover. But at the end of the day, this year we still have something special. You know, we just clinched the NFC East. That was step one of our goals this season, and we're just continuing on from there. And you know, I will be with the team along the way. I will be supporting them. I have the utmost confidence in Nick and the coaching staff and everybody else that they'll step up. You know, we've been plagued with injuries all year long, and it's just been the next man up mentality, and that's just going to continue. That's just going to continue. Nick's going to do an amazing job and lead this team now, and I'm going to be there to support and help in whatever way I can. But again, I just want to say thank you. You know, I tweeted out yesterday, thanks for all the thoughts and prayers, and I genuinely mean that. You know, the phone calls, the text messages, the emails, the tweets, everything from everybody out there. It just means the world to me. It's so humbling to know how many people are praying for me and lifting me up and encouraging me. It means the world. And I appreciate it. God bless all of you, and I promise this will not stop me, and I will come back stronger than ever.
All right, so there you heard from Carson Wentz. And Mitchell, I think with Carson Wentz was having an MVP caliber season. Now he's going to miss the last couple of games. He was putting up fantastic numbers this year. When we sit down here on Wednesday on our MVP Power Ranking show, where do you think Wentz should rank given the injury and now the season's over?
Well, for me,
should he still be in the MVP discussion?
Unfortunately, no, I don't think he should be, and it's just because he's not going to be able to finish out the season, and I just think there's two other players who could definitely be in that MVP discussion. But for me, Tom, Carson Wentz was the front runner to win MVP. I was actually just in Philadelphia this past weekend, and watching the Philadelphia fans see that injury and being in the Philadelphia airport while it happened, absolutely just heartbreaking. And my heart goes out to Carson Wentz. The dude was having an unbelievable season, and I thought the Eagles were a legitimate team to win the Super Bowl. They were super good. Hopefully Nick Foles can channel his inner 2013.
I don't think with Nick Foles at quarterback, the Eagles are a legitimate Super Bowl threat. They can still make a run in the NFC.
Yeah, not anymore.
And, maybe it's fair because Case Keenum is if Foles can play like Case Keenum, maybe he's got a chance. But I think in a really, really good NFC, I don't think Foles is good enough because I don't think the Eagles' defense is quite as good as, say, a Minnesota's defense.
No, and I agree with that, and I think the Eagles were so productive because of how balanced that offense was and just how well it was running around Carson Wentz. But, again, maybe Nick Foles can channel his 2013 self, but I don't know, man. That one's tough.
All right, folks. So keep your comments flowing there about Carson Wentz. In the meantime, I want to remind you that today's show was brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. It is the best way to get last-minute sports and concert tickets. The app tracks ticket prices in real time from thousands of trusted sellers, then shows you all the best deals. Download Game Time now at chatsports.com/tickets. At the last minute, up to 60% off compared to the other ticketing app prices.
I was actually on the app today, Tom, before I got on the show. Brooklyn Nets game and the Cleveland Cavaliers game, $2. You could go watch the Nets and the Cavs.
Well, I'm going to watch the Cavs. Let's not kid ourselves here.
Oh, really?
No one wants watching that, dude.
Oh, still, you can watch
LeBron
James for $2.
Exactly.
You can't beat that.
That's not bad.
Can't beat that.
All right, folks, chatsports.com/tickets to get the app, highly reviewed on the iOS and the Play Store. Let's keep rolling then in the show. We'll head now to our playoff picture. That's the focus of today's NFL Daily. We'll start in the AFC. You see the asterisk up there for the Steelers. That means they have clinched a playoff spot. They are the current #1 seed in the AFC, Mitchell. What do you make of the way Pittsburgh has played?
They definitely played – I thought they played pretty well this past week, even though the game was 39-38. But this Steelers team right now, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, the best wide receiver running back duo in the league. Ben Roethlisberger has been playing much better. Sure, he threw the ball 66 times, but let's give that defense a lot of credit. They're second in the NFL in sacks with 41. They're forcing turnovers. They're not allowing a lot of points. This is a pretty balanced team, but, man, cannot wait to see the Steelers and the Patriots play this week.
That's going to be a critical game to help determine the AFC champion and the #1 seed. Both those teams, I would imagine, get the byes. Jacksonville is still not eliminated from contention if Pittsburgh can beat New England. Jacksonville wins out. They can actually get the #2 seed. We'll get to projections in a little bit, but we'll stick here with the current playoff picture. We'll talk now about the AFC South. Jacksonville has jumped into the 3 spot after being at the 4 spot last week because they lost head-to-head to Tennessee. Jacksonville, Mitchell, looks like just a better team right now than Tennessee.
Yeah, I think the Tennessee Titans, we talked about it earlier here in the office, they look more like a 5-8 team to me. Marcus Mariota is really struggling in that offense, and I feel like they just don't have an identity, and that defense is nothing to brag about. And the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, they know their identity. Best defense in football, running really, really well right now is Leonard Fournette, and Blake Bortles is not turning the ball over. I think I don't want to say he's making a leap forward, but he's running the offense, and he's just being a game manager, which is exactly what he needs to be.
AFC West then is still, in reality, a 3-team race with the Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders. Chiefs, as of now, hold a tiebreaker over Los Angeles. The Raiders are not eliminated, but their chances are not great with the way they've played and having just lost to Kansas City.
Yeah, they need to basically win out, and they basically need the Chargers and the Chiefs to lose, I believe, 2 games for them to even have a kind of a chance. But for me, in the AFC West, this was a division I was really excited about, and I'm still excited about it, but it's because of the Chargers and how well they've been playing. I mean, winners of 7 of their last 9 games, and Phillip Rivers, Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon, I mean, they're really leading this team. And that Chargers defense, another defense that is very underrated. Look for the Chargers to get in and win that division.
All right, let's get down to the wild card outlook. We mentioned the Titans at 8-5. They remain the number 1 wild card team. But what do you think of this Tennessee team? That's kind of a deceptive 8-5 mark with the way they've played. Yeah,
I wrote an article today at Chat Sports about the 6 teams that I project getting in, and the Tennessee Titans were off that list. And it's because I think they're going to lose their next 3 games. Their schedule really is not that easy, leaving them at 8-8. And I think the Baltimore Ravens find a way in. Joe Flacco, for some reason, just waits until December to start playing well. But this defense also is, I think, one of the best defenses in the league, and they're going to continue to carry that team. And I think the Ravens find a way to get in over the Titans.
You see 3 teams at 7-6, all in the hunt in the AFC playoff picture: the Bills, the Ravens, and the Chargers. Now, the Ravens were in this spot last week, but because the Bills and Chargers also all won while the Ravens lost, the tiebreakers get involved, and the Ravens, for now, lose those tiebreakers. Okay. So Ravens are now outside the picture for the time being. I do think Baltimore, though, is in good shape going forward with their schedule of Cleveland, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati, 2 of those at home.
Yeah, that should be 3 wins, and then obviously puts you at 10-6. I don't think the Bills win out. I think the Chiefs find a way to get in because their schedule, I think they do lose this week to the Chargers, but then they win their next 2 games. And a 9-7, that's probably all it's going to take to get into the AFC.
All right, the Raiders there at 6-7, they're not in great shape. The Chargers still in the mix. They've got a chance to make some noise, maybe in the AFC West, maybe even as a wild card team as well. And the Dolphins in there still alive thanks to that win over the Patriots. Some other teams that have not yet been eliminated, but in all practicality, they're not getting in, include the Jets at 5-7, the Bengals at 4-8, the 4-9 Houston Texans have not technically been eliminated from playoff contention yet.
Really?
Yeah, go figure, right? Now, they need all hell to break loose, and there's basically 0% chance that it happens, but I'm saying there's a chance.
You're saying?
Not going to happen.
Yeah, there's no way, Tom.
All right, so that's your AFC playoff picture. Let's take a look now at the loaded NFC playoff picture. The Eagles have clinched their spot. Minnesota, in what was really kind of a chaotic NFL weekend for the playoff picture, Minnesota lost, the Rams lost, the Saints lost. Meanwhile, the Panthers and Falcons won. Seattle lost as well. I think the overarching point here is that outside of the Eagles, all these teams are still fighting for their seeding in reality. And the Eagles have clinched a spot, so everyone else is still fighting for a playoff berth technically, but the Vikings are going to get in. I feel confident about some of the other teams on there as well.
I mean, it's really interesting, though, especially looking at this week. I mean, the Panthers are playing the Packers. Mm-hmm. That's a big game. And then the Seahawks, they're playing the Rams, which could decide the NFC West. And then you have the Saints. They end up playing, I believe, who do they? Oh, God, I can't even remember. The Saints will end up playing, or the Falcons and the Panthers, they play, I believe, in Week 17. The Saints play the Falcons
in Week 16.
In Week 16, there's so many games that still have to happen yet, and that could decide so many different factors. Don't call me crazy. The Cowboys might actually make it in.
Let's talk about the Cowboys in this overall division picture. The Eagles, of course, have clinched the NFC East. It's really a matter of if they can get a number 1 seed. They're in pretty decent shape, I think, even with Nick Foles, because they beat the Rams. A huge win for them. Minnesota would lose the head-to-head tiebreaker, and we'll talk more about that later on. If it's just those 2 teams with 13 wins or 12 wins, whatever, because of the common opponent matchup, so they would actually lose that tiebreaker in the end. But for the most part, Vikings and Eagles are in great shape. The Rams at 9-4, as of right now, have the 3 seed, but Seattle is just a game back, and Seattle, if they beat the Rams, would own the head-to-head tiebreaker, which would determine the NFC West.
Yeah, I mean, they beat them earlier in the season. I mean, the Rams have to go in Seattle this week, which is definitely not an easy matchup. And again, I don't think the Seahawks are done. I believe they have a 46% chance or something around that area to make it to the playoffs. But again, Tom, like there's so many interesting games over these next 2 to 3 weeks to just decide the NFC. I can't wait. Like I literally can't wait, and I really think the Cowboys are going to make it in the playoffs.
Well, the NFC South is a awesome division this year. The Saints at 9-4, the Panthers at 9-4. Unless you're a Bucs fan, the Falcons at 8-5. Mitchell, do you think there's a chance that all three of those teams find a way into the postseason this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is at least a possibility, but again, the Falcons will play the Panthers, I believe, Week 17, a game that I do not believe that they win, and I think they play the Saints in Week 16, a game that I don't think that they win. So I think that kind of opens it up for a team like the Cowboys. The Cowboys this week, I think, have a pretty good matchup. I'm trying to think who they play off the top of my head. It's not coming to me, but I know they play the Eagles in Week 17 with Nick Foles, a game that I think they can win. Week 16, Ezekiel Elliott comes back against the
Raiders
Seahawks
this week,
and the Raiders, who are really struggling. Like, to me, the Cowboys went out, put themselves at 10-6. I think they're in good shape.
All right, then. So they have the teams in the hunt. The Panthers, Falcons right now. Falcons have the tiebreaker head-to-head over Seattle. The Lions and Packers still in the mix. What hurts the Cowboys, though, I think, Mitchell, they lost the Falcons head-to-head.
Yep.
They lost to the Rams in the event Seattle was able to do something crazy. The Cowboys would need to also beat Seattle head-to-head, which in theory could help eliminate Seattle. They also lost to Green Bay head-to-head. So the Cowboys are still alive, but I really don't think they're in very good shape right now.
Oh, they're not in good shape now, but I think if they win out and then the Falcons lose 2 games, like, for me, they need to take the Falcons spot. I don't think they're going to jump the Panthers, the Rams, or the Saints. It's the Falcons in case of the Cowboys. So if you're a Cowboys fan, I would probably root for the Falcons to lose.
And so that's your current NFC playoff picture, folks. Once again, today's show brought to you by the Game Time app. If you need last-minute sports or concert tickets, get the Game Time app at chatsports.com/tickets. The reviews, Mitchell, speak for themselves. Pretty much 5 stars across the board on the iOS and the Play Store.
And that's what I mean. 5 stars, you can't really do much better than that, Tom. And I actually don't think you can do much better than that.
Not on app reviews.
Not on app reviews. Well, also, Tom, I was looking at the Game Time app. I think you and I are the only ones working during Christmas. I'm just saying, if you want to go watch the Seahawks and the Cowboys, it's $40 for NFL tickets. Like, yes, technically we have to work, but I won't tell James if you don't. So
Fair.
I think we should go to the game. $40, Seahawks, Cowboys. Let's do it.
All right, folks, we'll keep it rolling then here. We'll go now from our playoff picture to some projections as well. This is Downey's Dozen coming up next here. We start in the AFC, the 6 teams, I think, from the AFC that will make the postseason. This is my current projections. Now, there are tiebreakers involved. Patriots, Steelers. Patriots went out. They beat Pittsburgh. In that case, Patriots have the tiebreaker. They get the number 1 overall seed. Pittsburgh at 13-3 ends up getting the number 2 seed in the AFC. The Jags win the AFC South. Kansas City gets their stuff back together. They end up going 10-6. They get the 4 seed. And then the Ravens at 10-6 get the wild card. The Titans eke out just barely. And that's actually key, by the way. If the Titans fall to 8-8, I don't think that they'll make the playoffs now that it's not, if it might not be a true head-to-head tiebreaker this year with the Chargers. But the Chargers, remember earlier this year, they beat the Titans.
Okay.
So if it ends up being a head-to-head tiebreaker between the Chargers and the Titans, the Chargers would get that nod. Now, if there are 3 teams at 8-8, then it gets complicated with the Bills and the Titans and the Chargers, and that might not come down till strength of victory later on in the season.
Interesting. Ours is a little bit different. I know this is your Downey's Dozen.
This is mine. So what do you disagree with, Mitchell? You're allowed to disagree.
Well, no, I wrote my playoff.
I just might kick you off the show. That's all.
That's fine. I wrote my playoff projections. I think the Chargers get in, and I think they win the division. I think the Chargers, yes, Phillip Rivers has struggled in Kansas City throughout his career, but I think they win this week, and I think they win out. I mean, I think they beat the Dolphins, or I think the Chargers, after they beat the Chiefs, they kind of just go on. But then the Chiefs have a much, I think, more difficult schedule. So, like, the Dolphins, they just beat the Patriots, so, like, that kind of scares me. And I have yet to see this Chiefs team be able to prove to me over the last few weeks that I can rely and trust them. So
I reserve the right to change my mind after each week. And if the Chargers do go into Arrowhead and win, this will change. The Chargers will be my projected winner in the AFC West. But I think the Chiefs at home find a way to win that game. Home against the Dolphins, I'm not super concerned about. I think they can beat a Denver team that, even though they beat the Jets handily, they are reeling.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. But Denver is much better at home. And again, like we see
Very
teams
true.
inside the division, they come out and they play the teams in the division much differently. I mean, we just saw with the Dolphins and the Patriots. Your top three, I totally agree with, though. I think the Patriots will be the number 1 seed after they beat the Steelers this week, and the Jaguars will win out, putting them at 12-4. But those other 3 spots are wide open. I also, though, do not agree. I don't think the Titans make the playoffs. I think they lose out.
So you think so let's say the Titans lose out, then who's your other wild card team? And who gets in if you've got the Chargers winning the AFC West? Who's your other wild card team?
The Chiefs. I had the Chargers in and the Chiefs. And so my 2 wild card teams were the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens.
All right, so you do think the Chiefs can make playoffs then? So
Yeah,
it's not
but
super
not
different
like,
there.
They're not going to be in
that's
the
fair.
4 seed, though.
That's fair. All right. What do you make of the Raiders and Dolphins standings? They're still kind of alive, but do you think they can actually pull it out in the end? They need a lot of help.
Yeah, they need a lot of help, and I just don't think they're going to win many games. I think the Raiders lose to the Cowboys this week. I think Dak Prescott has really made a leap forward, and credit to the Cowboys for kind of just revolving their run game again, like getting it going again with Rod Smith and Alfred Morris. And sure, like they put a lot on Dak's shoulders this week, and he was able to prevail, but this Raiders team, Derek Carr, the offense, Cooper, I mean, where are these guys? I mean, they're just not showing up, so to me, no, I don't think that any other team has a chance.
I think there's a very critical couple of games coming up down the stretch here for both the AFC and the NFC. The AFC, I think in the end, the number 1 seed will be decided this weekend. Patriots, Steelers, the winner of that game, barring the team doing something really dumb down the stretch, will be your number 1 seed in the AFC, and that matters because it's home field advantage throughout.
Yeah, and I think barring doing something really dumb, and I'm saying this right after the Patriots just lost, but the Steelers are in way, way closer games to me, and they show up some weeks, but on the road, there's other weeks where they don't. I think the Patriots, after getting embarrassed on Monday Night Football, they're going to come out this week, and they're going to be really ticked off, and they're going to put it to the Steelers a little bit. And I mean, we've seen in the past, the Patriots have the Steelers' number, whether it's in the playoffs, whether it's regular season, they have their number. And it's just a game where Tom Brady, they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to win this week and ultimately be the number 1 seed in the AFC.
So those are your AFC projections, folks. Patriots, Steelers, Jags, and Chiefs in that order winning their divisions. The Ravens and Titans sneak into the wild card, while the Chargers, Bills, Raiders, and Dolphins are the notable teams currently still in the hunt that end up getting left out. Today's show is brought to you by the Game Time app. At chatsports.com/tickets to get the Game Time app today. The reviews speak for themselves, Mitchell. 5 stars on iOS and the App Store.
Well, they speak for themselves just because of how easy the app is to navigate.
It looks pretty.
It's very pretty, which obviously I care about. But, obviously, it's so good because of how quick and easy you can find tickets. If you're, going on the Game Time app, oh, guess what? I just found Spurs and Dallas Mavericks tickets, $19. I can go watch Kawhi Leonard come to Dallas and play, for $19.
Yeah, that's awesome, right?
It's amazing.
Incredible deals there. Chatsports.com/tickets. Pro tip, wait till almost the last second. The tickets tend to drop a little bit shorter. Don't tell them we said that, though. Chatsports.com/tickets to get the app today. Let's get now to our NFC projections. And this, Mitchell, I think is much more chaotic. Because it's all of these teams have a chance to an extent to make the playoffs. I'd also argue that some of the teams in the wild card race can still get a top 2 seed. It is going to be awesome, and I love the NFC.
The NFC this is interesting. I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around everything that's going on here, and I'm just trying to figure out who owns tiebreakers and what's going on. I guess the only place I'm going to disagree a little bit for this one, Tom, is I think the Vikings are going to be above the Eagles because I think the Eagles lose 1 extra game, and they're just trying to get adjusted to Nick Foles. But the Seahawks-Rams game, I'm probably going to end up taking the Seahawks in that one, which is exactly why they're at the 4 seed over the Rams. But the Panthers do not have an easy schedule. But if Aaron Rodgers comes back, man, I want to see Rodgers in the playoffs. But again, I would love to see the Cowboys with Zeke because I think they're one of the better teams. I think if Zeke plays the entire season, the Cowboys make the playoffs.
I think this is a glorious NFC because 10 wins, as we project right now, there's a good scenario where it doesn't actually get you in. And you can see the Cowboys get 10 wins, the Lions or the Packers get the 10 wins, and still not get in the postseason, which is incredible.
But see, I love that.
You could have multiple 10-win teams be left out.
See, and I
How
think
insane is that?
Well, I think that's great because coming into this year, we were like, oh, the AFC just dominates. And yes, the AFC has been dominated by the Patriots and by the Steelers. But, I mean, this NFC, sure, they haven't won the Super Bowl in the last few years. But when you see this many high-quality teams, I think the NFC right now is easily the better division than the AFC. And I cannot wait for these last 2 weeks because, again, I have no idea what's going to happen, Tom.
Now let's break this down kind of team by team. The Eagles as the number 1 seed right now. Because the Panthers lost, the Eagles are actually because the Vikings lost the Panthers, excuse me, the Eagles would be able to win that tiebreaker. So their magic number is 2.
Okay.
If they can get 2 more wins, they got the number 1 seed. And I think that sets up well for them with games against the Giants on the road, home against the Raiders, home against the Cowboys.
Yep.
Even with Nick Foles, I think that they can win those first 2 games. That puts them in really great shape.
Yeah, no, I didn't realize it would be that easy for them. Yeah, I think they beat the Giants, and I think they beat a struggling Raiders team. So, but I will say, I think they're going to lose Week 17 to the Cowboys. So apparently the Eagles are going to be the number 1 seed. So good for them.
All right, so the Saints then up next. I think the Saints are in very good shape because of the way they've played in their division and their rest of the season schedule. They get the Jets with Bryce Petty. That's going to be a win for them. They host the Falcons. Now, if they just lost in a narrow one on the road, I think at home, though, they win that game. Then they go play the Bucs. A struggling Bucs team might end up firing their head coach. So I think the Saints actually win out.
Okay.
And at 12 wins, that's going to be enough to win the NFC South, obviously. It also should be enough to get you a top 3 seed. Depending on what happens with the Eagles and Vikings, the Saints, even though they lost to the Falcons, are still in the mix for the number 1 overall seed, or at least a bye in the NFC.
And that's all you have to do is just at least give yourself a chance. And I think that's what we've seen the Saints do. But I believe Alvin Kamara is going to play this week. And I think once he was injured this past week, I think that was also a big reason why they weren't moving the ball as effectively against the Atlanta Falcons, because the Falcons struggle against pass-catching running backs.
That brings us now to your number 4 seed. You see the Seahawks giving the nod over the Rams. The only way this happens is if Seattle wins out. Now, Seattle will play the Rams this weekend at home. We know Seattle is a much better team at home.
Yep.
They've already beaten the Rams earlier this year. That gives them the head-to-head tiebreaker, their rest of season schedule. They go play the Cowboys on the day Zeke returns. That's a road game for Seattle. That's the tough one. That's the toss-up game for me. If Seattle loses that game, then things get really complicated in the NFC because the Cowboys are still in the mix. It helps the Falcons out, helps the Lions, Packers, all those other teams get a big boost. Then they close home against Arizona. I do think they win that game.
Yeah, I think
so. The Cowboys-Seahawks game, a borderline elimination game for the playoffs, which is awesome.
No, that's what I mean. I think it's exactly what we're hoping for. And again, I think the Seahawks do win both games at home. But I'll tell you what, going into Dallas in the Zeke return game, the Cowboys are going to be fired up. And I think they truly believe if they win that game, they have a legitimate shot to beat the Eagles and Nick Foles. Tom, I think the Cowboys are going to find a way somehow to make the playoffs.
All right, that brings us now to the 2 wildcard teams. I don't predict the Cowboys quite yet. I do have the Rams, though. The Rams have not clinched a playoff spot, but I am very confident about where the Rams currently sit with games against the Titans and 49ers. They should win at least one, if not both of those 2 games. We'll see what happens with Seattle, but an 11-win Rams team is going to get in. I think 11 wins is the magic number right now in the NFC. Now, more chaotic stuff can happen. There can be some more upsets and whatnot. But I think if you're a team like the Falcons, Panthers, Rams, Seattle, you're saying, hey, we got to get to 11 right now.
Well, that's what I mean. If you can get to 11, magic number is 11. But when you see the amount of tough games that come up for teams like the Panthers, so the Panthers, example, like they could play Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, tough game. Easy game then at home against the Buccaneers, but then they have to go in Atlanta. And going into Atlanta has not been an easy matchup for any team this year. I mean, they've beaten a lot of tough teams, so man, 11 wins. I love seeing that, though, because I hate when a team that's 9-7 and like the Baltimore Ravens get in the playoffs.
We'll talk now about the Panthers. It's going to be a very tough tiebreaker scenario if there are multiple 11-win teams or 10-win teams. I said with the Panthers against the Packers, who may or may not have Aaron Rodgers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the game they should win, and then a potential, frankly, elimination game in Week 17, Panthers-Falcons. There's a real chance that the winner of that game gets in and the loser gets sent home.
Which is awesome. Like
I love that in the NFL.
Anytime we can get that reminds me of like when the MLB kind of does like that one extra playoff game of whoever gets in. Like Week 17 is going to have so many of those games, Tom, where I'm literally just going to be sitting on the edge of my seat just like this is literally playoff football in Week 17, and it's great. But again, like you said, the Falcons by no means have an easy way of getting in either. Like they're in the hunt according to your Downey's dozen, but then they have to play the Saints in New Orleans. Good luck there. And then they have to play the Panthers. I mean, that's 2 back-to-back super tough games, and to get hyped up for those 2 kind of games, I don't know if they can do it, Tom.
It's going to be tough for Atlanta, so we'll see what ends up happening there. In the end, I think they come up just short, and that's unfortunate for them. The Lions, I think, are an overlooked team. I know that some people think they're good, and I get that, but look at their schedule. Home against the Bears, on the road against a falling-apart Bengals team. Then they host Green Bay, who may or not have Aaron Rodgers back. If there's no Rodgers, there's a real chance Detroit wins out. And at that point, they're 10-6. That might be enough to get them in.
Oh, man. But, I mean, I'm looking at it from the standpoint of I hope Aaron Rodgers comes back.
Yes,
and I think
know.
Aaron Rodgers, Week 17, beats the Lions just like we saw last year. But this Lions team, to me, when I watch them, they're not a playoff caliber team. And I'm sorry. For that reason, I hope that they don't make it in. But I do think that they win at least 1-2 more games.
What really hurts Detroit is head-to-head losses to the Falcons and the Panthers. That's a big blow to the Lions' hopes. That's why they need to win out and get some help. You mentioned the Packers. I think their issue is their next 2 games. Panthers, Vikings.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think that's not good.
Well, those are 2 really, really tough defenses. And, like, again, when you see defenses that are playing as well as both of those teams, and yes, like the Vikings are the team that Aaron Rodgers played against where he was injured, but, I mean, they're just hard-nosed hitting teams, and they're going to come after you, everything they got. And if they think Aaron Rodgers is at least a little bit gimpy, guess what, Tom? Like, they're going to come twice as hard. The Packers have a tough road ahead, but again, if Aaron Rodgers is calling hike and he is 100% healthy, I am taking Aaron Rodgers.
All right, that's fair. All right, then the Cowboys, we mentioned them quite a bit, Mitchell. I'll let you kind of handle this one here. Raiders, Seahawks, and the Eagles, their end-of-season schedule, not super easy.
Well, not super easy whatsoever. I mean, I think the matchup is easy this week against the Raiders, who have been struggling, but anytime you're going to play the Seahawks and Russell Wilson right now, the fact that Carson Wentz went down, he in my opinion, I think he is the MVP of the league right now, just considering everything he's doing. So the fact that the Cowboys have to beat Seattle and Russell Wilson is not easy, but again, Zeke's going to come back. They're going to feed him. He's going to be hungry. He's going to be angry, and I think the Cowboys win that game. And Cowboys, Eagles, another game that could decide a playoff spot. I mean, what more could we ask for right now in the world of the NFL?
Yep. All right, let's get to a reaction poll here, folks. Who will get the number 1 seed in the NFC? Will it be the Vikings, the Eagles, the Rams, or, take your pick of NFC South team? Whether it be the Saints or the Panthers, or maybe even the Falcons. I saw Buster Burns not happy there with the Falcons not being projected in.
Sorry, homie. I call it how I see him, and so does Tom. But after you gave me the breakdown of how easy it would be for certain teams to get the number 1 seed, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles. I mean, I think they're going to win 2 out of their next 3 games, and they still have obviously a chance of beating the Cowboys at home. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm going to throw up that wow face, but the Vikings also have a very good chance of winning out, especially if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play.
That's fair. All right, folks. So keep those votes flowing in. I see quite a few cast votes there. I see several for the Eagles. I even see some for the Rams and some for the Vikings. It's a pretty split vote there, Mitchell, which I like. I think that's indicative of how chaotic the NFC playoff picture is right now. It's awesome.
Somebody just said, "Bye-bye, Cowboys, Holly." Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's me being in Dallas and me being kind of a homer for the Dallas Cowboys since I moved down here. But hey.
All right, folks, that will do it for us today. If you guys missed anything, such as our NFL highlights, some updates on injuries, or you missed the current playoff picture and projections, don't worry. We're going to play the show over a few times, so don't go anywhere. That's coming up here in just a second. But for producer Lena and Mitchell, I'm Tom Downey. You guys stay classy out there.